Hey folks, this is Mike Tango Whiskey coming at you with another Hurt Feelings report. This will be episode 5. It's Saturday night and I'm out in my garage. My whole family's in bed and I just snuck a shot of bourbon. So I should be all loosey-goosey for this episode. Okay, so update on my channel. I hit 6,000 subscribers today and I'm just under a month. So in 2 more days it'll be, and there's already at 6,200. So I may be close to 7,000 subscribers by 30 days, which is, it's mind-blowing. Videos are doing well. I put out some content today. 2 days ago, my little sling bag, that got quite a few views. And then today I put out another get home bag video. My hope is to do a bug out, like redefining the way we use the phrase bug out, more of a philosophy video. So, but for the Hurt Feelings report, remember we're trying to do 2 things. I'm trying to highlight really great insults and really great insights. That's my goal. Anything that kind of grabs my attention in the comments, I'm trying to put hearts next to that so I can come back to it. My goal is to keep these at an hour. I've gotten some, not a lot, but some feedback that I am long-winded and wordy, which is unusual because in my job, I teach public speaking and I teach people how to be concise and how to be short and clear. So then I started thinking, okay, why am I having issues here? And I'll tell you why. I think it's 2 things. Number 1, I don't have an audience to react to. When I'm up in front of people and they're getting like, okay, you made the point, I can see their face, right? I can get feedback from them live telling me, okay, dude, it's like, and then the second thing is I don't have a time limit. So every other time I instruct, I have a set time frame. And for these, I don't. Or for all my videos, I just talk until I feel like I'm done. So I'm gonna do my best to start setting some time limits on myself just to see how that works out and see if it forces me to be a little bit more concise and a little bit more clear. One guy described me as verbose. I had to look that up. It just means wordy. So, and I went back and watched the video and there was a couple times where I said the same thing 3 or 4 different ways. And again, no editing, no cuts. So a lot of this is just me thinking out loud. So you're gonna get some of that, but I'm gonna see if I can be shorter. I tried to do that with my get home bag video today. I felt kind of rushed. So we'll see. Maybe I won't change. Maybe this is just the way it is and that's too bad. And I'm at the age where I don't care. But there were some really good comments. There was one that was explosive comment and I went back today and I couldn't find it. I was trying to start tonight's show with that comment, but I couldn't find it. I went back through 2 and 3 times. So we'll see if I stumble on it again. Also, there's more and more comments and more views. So I'm gonna do my best to keep this concise. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set a timer for an hour. And whatever I can't get to in an hour doesn't get covered. Okay, so I go back to the previous Hurt Feelings report, which in this case is about 6 days ago. And I just look at all my hearted comments and I read through those and comment on them. So we'll see how I do. We're 3 minutes in, so we should be good. All right, you ready? Starting, okay. All right, comment on my All Cities Will Burn, kind of a short walk and talk video. In my opinion, there are resources everywhere, and while people can be dangerous, community is truly the key to long-term survival. Yes, bugging out of the city, you're getting away from dangerous people, going to the woods, but you're also leaving a lot of people who are not dangerous, who are helpful, who may be contacts of yours. I'm gonna do more videos on that because I agree with that concept. I think that's an important thing to think about. You're getting away from people, but you're also getting away from a lot of key resources when you leave the city. So, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to stumble on that comment. I searched and searched for it. I don't know what happened to it. So the point about speed, this is in the get home bag. The point about speed being the priority with bug out or get home is so key. In any scenario, we need to be somewhere we aren't with the kind of importance that brings us to talking about defense and fires and water and cooking. He talks about things with wheels, scooters or bikes. Yes, I think both in a get home and a bug out scenario that speed is underrated. Not underrated, it's not talked about enough. And I think a lot of times our equipment and gear choices aren't filtered by that speed being the top priority. And I know haste makes waste, and I know slow is smooth and smooth is fast. I get those things. No, I'm not saying not to be structured or to be rushed, but we need to be thinking about speed. Like even today, me redoing my get home bag with light and fast in mind. Yeah. Maybe switching from a bike to an electric bike. Electric bike would be faster, right? That we should be thinking along those things. How are we going to get from point A to point B faster? So yeah, a little bit of support there. Preparedness, make do with what you have on hand. You will always need something. Something is always missing. Reduce, reuse, and remanufacture. Yeah. You guys know I'm cheap. I shop at thrift stores. I try and repurpose gear. I didn't bring my sling out tonight, but that sling, I'm getting a lot of questions about, hey, what brand is that? What sling? I made it from surplus and Amazon gear. Maybe it needs to be a thing. Maybe that's the first thing I start selling as merch, is one of those sling bags. It's just a MOLLE panel that I pieced together and had my daughter sew it. But I think we need to be more resourceful, and I'm guilty of this too. I go straight to Amazon. I was like, what's the new thing I need? You know, who makes it and how much does it cost? Maybe we just need to make do with what we've got and learn how to sew, right? As a body man in the Air Force, I learned how to sew. I know how to run a sewing machine, but luckily my daughter, I didn't enjoy it. I really didn't enjoy it. But my daughter is a very good seamstress. She has her own business that involves some sewing some hair products and that, so she's pretty good at it. She'll sew anything I want her to. Let's see, I was really being nice. Oh, so I don't know if you remember last week, there was a guy that was giving me a bunch of crap about being a bot and a shill and all this stuff. And I explained the comment situation in the last Hurt Feelings report. And he came back, he goes, I really was being nice. Your explanation was good, and I resubbed. So I won that guy. I brought him back, right? Get ready for the YouTube rabbit hole. Keep up the great work. Yeah. And I said, hey man, welcome back to the fold. I appreciate you. I really wasn't deleting comments. I'm learning more about the algorithm and what they do. Sometimes I'll go to comment on a comment, and it just spins and spins and spins, and it won't let me comment. And it's not the connection, so then I go to the next comment and I make a comment and it posts right away, and the other one is still spinning. So that makes me think that there's still some shenanigans going on, like this massive interaction that I had with this guy. I really wanted to start with that comment. I can't find it. So maybe it's gone. I don't know. There's still some shenanigans going on behind the scenes that I'm not fully aware of, but I don't know what I can do about that. I mean, I can only focus on what I can control, so. But that guy came back. You need to start selling turd on the carpet t-shirts and merch. Yeah. I said I'm thinking of a turd hat, like a hat with a turd patch on it. I think this is my way forward. So instead of shilling for companies, which feels gross and I'm not really interested in doing anyway, maybe I start making my own merch. Maybe we start making stickers and patches and hats, and for a turd on the carpet, for maybe that sling bag, you know, maybe I start with original products that I can sell and start making money that way. Because I still haven't monetized. I've been qualified for a couple of weeks and I still haven't done that because I don't know if I want to. I don't know if I want to. So, but I want to make money from YouTube, you know, a free bag and a free flat, great, perfect, but that's not going to pay the mortgage. So if I want to make a living at this, I have to figure out a way to make money without selling out. You know what I mean? Let's see. Trying to lose weight based on size and weight, bulkier. Blah, 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 blah. Modularity is important, but I also don't want 10 different bags for different contingencies. Start with a good EDC. Yeah, I think with so much stuff, I inevitably drift in that direction. It's like I need a bag for this and a bag for this and a bag, because I already have all of that stuff. I have the boots, I have the bags, I have 12 different cook sets, you know. So for me, it's not that difficult to have a bag in every place and a pair of boots in every place because I thrift and I can do it for relatively cheap. But I get what he's saying. If you have to buy that stuff, that can get expensive really quick. knowing exactly what the worst. Remember, the issue isn't necessarily the event itself, but the human overreaction to the event and the need to control the situation. Yes. Yes. Like SHTF, you know, a serious situation on its own is enough to keep you occupied, but then really what you have to worry about are the mob, the people reacting to the situation, like that public panic. That's the scary part, I think. And I think that's why we are instinctually trying to run to the woods, to avoid the zombie mobs, right? And then the authorities too. I talked about that in the fire video, where sometimes their interests are opposed to your interest, and you know, you're not working towards the same, that could hinder you. Yeah. The human piece is the unknown piece in all of these scenarios, right? We can plan for disasters and this and that, but the people piece, it's unpredictable. It's really difficult to figure out a way around that, because people start getting weird. Even people that you know and people who are good normally, in a desperate situation, things will turn ugly. And yeah, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. I have a Christian world perspective, so I tend to think the worst of people. I think everybody are sinners and everybody is capable of terrible, awful things under the right circumstances. So I think that's a healthy perspective, given, you know, like an SHTF scenario. But yeah, that's difficult to plan for. So I posted a short where I broke into my car. My daughters locked my key in my car, and this guy goes, "Great scripted scenario. It can happen to anyone. Great learning." It was not scripted. And let me say this. So my wedge, I broke into my car. The day after I said I was gonna post a video of me using it, my daughters locked my key fob in my car. They got in the car to get dressed. They put their gis on because they had jujitsu. They left the key fob on the back seat. I had to go break in. I recorded it, posted a short. I figured, great. And people are accusing me of scripting it. It was not scripted. Then 2 days after that, my wife, my son was working my daughter was working my wife's store. She locked herself out. And there was a magnetic lock that had the door in place, and I had to get in through the back door with the wedge and the pick. And I didn't record that one because I was running late and it was hot and I was kind of pissed. Then 2 days ago, in a grocery store parking lot, we pull up to let my son go in to buy some snacks. We're on our way to go, I think, camping 2 days ago. And then a woman and her daughter are trying to jimmy their way into their car. And I see it and I go, oh man. My wife goes, "Do you have your stuff?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "Go help them, go." So I get out and I approach this woman, and in hindsight, I feel like I should have recorded it, but it was really weird. I didn't want to say in public, "Hey, I'm a YouTuber, can I record?" So I walked up with my wedge. She had a stick, a piece of like pallet shoved in the top of the door, and she was in there with some sort of wire. And I had that coat hanger that I kept from when I broke into the car with my daughters, and the wedge, and I walk up and go, boom, boom, boom. And she goes, "Oh, this guy's a professional." Get the thing in there, probably a minute and a half. I was back in the car with my wife before my son came back out with his snacks. There are real world, legitimate applications for the tools that we're talking about. And I had 3 of them happen inside of 2 weeks, which inside of a week, really. If I go back into the math, it was much shorter than that. They're not scripted. They're not scripted. They're just coming at me now for some, I guess because I'm talking about it, it's manifesting, but. In praise of cheap gear, someone says they were laughing at that video. I put out a couple slightly humorous videos too, and they seem to hit okay. Like the prepper bag one, I got a lot of good feedback on that one. Still getting some feedback on the older videos. I'm trying not to comment on those because it's a lot of the same stuff. People watch the very first video where I say, "You don't need this stuff," and they're like, "You're stupid." Yeah, I get it. I'm gonna be getting that for years probably. Just a good comment. Civilizations and empires don't just disappear. Collapse is gradual. We are in the midst of a collapse, but it seems to be accelerating. Yeah, I agree with this concept. I think the only thing that could accelerate it would be AI. But most collapses have signs. It's not total and complete and all of a sudden, right? What we traditionally think of as SHTF. I think it's more a long, slow turd on the carpet and then SHTF, right? There's like a tipping point that happens. There's a couple of other comments in here where people said that like they went through something very similar and it was slow and gradual. This guy, I missed the part in the Bible where it says robots will take over mankind. I guess he's calling into question my biblical beliefs and my belief that AI will change everything. I have no problem with that. I read Revelation and I go, like, how will the beast system? Peter Thiel, he's the CEO of the some AI company. He's going around doing interviews talking about how he is helping to institute the beast system, and he's not even a Christian. I have no doubt that AI and how it saturates everything will be used in that scenario. So there's no contradiction there. There's no contradiction there. Not for me anyway. Maybe for some other people, but not for me. I don't think he was trying to be facetious. Just this guy says, instead of trying to bug out to a motel like Bear Grylls, does he do that? Try renting an Airbnb, especially if you have 13 people. Yeah, in that scenario, it would have been smarter, but my brain was so racked and I was trying to get somewhere. Yeah, Airbnb would have been better, right? But some of those people were strangers, remember? They were my son's friends, so I don't know that I'd be down to have them in the same house as my kids, but in terms of money, like cost, yeah, that would be cheaper for sure. In phase 1, we are deciding, so this guy talked about phases, having phases of evacuation. In phase 1, we are deciding which way we will evacuate and booking reservations if possible. They've bugged out 3 times for a hurricane. Yeah, right? Like if you know when hurricanes are coming up through the Gulf, so this is smart. Like phase 1, you're already calling hotels. Like instead of me, when I decided, hey, we have to leave, where can we go? Now, luckily I worked close with this hotel, but other people may not have that advantage. So yeah, knowing those things ahead of time. One guy commented about knowing which hotels ahead of time to carry dogs or will accept pets. That's important, right? This guy, a fire came within 5 miles, biggest wildfire in South Carolina history, spent 5 days on high alert for evacuations, dog crates, important papers, packed to the gills. Yeah, the main issue we faced was the road was still washed out from Helene. So 2 back-to-back turd on the floor conditions, but 0% humidity, high winds, yeah. So, yeah, blocked routes. It's difficult. It's difficult. Prepping is a journey, and I appreciate your real-world application. The bug-out fantasy is not practical with families. Yes. Yeah. I'm going to try and do the bug-out video this weekend and talk about why that's stupid for the 68%. Another excellent video. He's talking about the fire video. Lots of useful information. Lots of changes. Looking forward to future videos, passing on information to my sons, grandchildren, and friends. It's great. It's awesome. When I make mistakes and learn, I think that's great. This guy said about the fire video, he says, gear and gadgets won't help if you don't have tampons. And I said, that's a t-shirt. Like tampons greater than gear. That could be a t-shirt for us, right? People would definitely be like, what are you talking about? If you live within 50 to 20 miles radius from your workplace, why burden yourself with all these additional items? Talking about you don't need these things. You have your phone and that has a maps, and why a compass? I live 31 miles from work. Yeah, so kind of agreeing with the stuff you don't need video. This guy lives in the Pacific Northwest. If you have an AR and full kit ready to red dawn out the door, but your family's important documents are not in one safe place, he's like, you're off track, right? Yeah, fires make you rethink everything, because even if you bug out and leave it, like it's likely to be destroyed. So one person, it wasn't a critique, but he kind of goes, why are you taking your tools and your ARs? I don't know. I guess I thought, what is not replaceable? That was my mind. Like, what would be difficult to replace? Like, for instance, in my state, I acquired survival mechanisms, right? Self-defense mechanisms. And then a lot of that stuff got banned. So if you had to go back and get it, you couldn't do it. You couldn't get it. So part of me is like, okay, what is not replaceable? Obviously lives, but if you have more time, you would kind of extend that out to important documents and important tools and equipment. Obviously I was off with my wife, but that's the idea. I think that's the idea. like your take on prepping. Can you explain what you mean by the 68%? Yeah, so some people are starting to see my stuff and go, what is this? What is these 68%ers? Turd on the carpet. I'm starting to put that in the titles and the descriptions. That way people are starting to kind of notice what it means. So I explained to this guy about the bell curve and all that stuff. So that's cool. I can think of one or two scenarios where SHTF happens all at once. Communication, electricity, all of that stuff goes away. So he says major military strikes that use nuclear or electromagnetic strikes, major, strong, and long-lasting solar flares, EMPs, instant chaos. Yeah, but again, I think that's pretty far end of the bell curve, the SHTF situation. True SHTF, not turd on the carpet. Very practical advice, talks about forest fires. A lot of support for the forest fire videos. A lot of people who had been through forest fires or hurricanes themselves. I think you've presented a lot of really useful information. Thank you for the video. I've watched some of the other videos. Appreciate the logic. Thank you. See, I get positive comments on my presenting as well, but some people are just like, dude, shut up. Get to the point. Why are you talking so much? That one guy was like, you love the sound of your voice, don't you? Just admit it. And I said, I do. I think I have admitted that. I like the channel. It's like grunt proof, one of the best. I'll take that. That's a huge compliment. I love grunt proof. Seems down to earth, like a down to earth dude. This lady, so I talked about totes. She recommends IKEA bags over totes. Totes are square cornered. Vehicles are rounded. So she says IKEA bags can squish into spaces. That's a good tip. That's a good piece of advice, right? That's thinking outside the box. Like totes are sturdy and they work well. But if you're trying to pack a car to the gills, it's not perfect like Jenga or Tetris, right? So I like the idea of bags. My wife used to be into that one company, 31 bags, and some of their bags were like malleable. So we had duffels for each kid when we travel. That's smart, just like you can stuff those things in there. I like that. Chaos is going to erupt in dense population areas. It's after the chaos ends that there begins to be spread outwards as people flee the chaos and look for more resources. Few days to a week. This will all happen over the course of a few days to a week. This is kind of the classic prepper fiction scenario, right? Everywhere collapse. 3 days, the cities are in chaos, and then people begin to fan out from the cities. The Golden Horde, it's called, where they're walking into the woods, into the suburbs, into the country, absorbing all the resources. I don't know. I haven't really seen that historically. This is kind of what I'm producing content against, or not against, but in contrast to. Yeah. Everyone wants to pretend it's going to be SHTF when in reality, the most likely they'll be at the hospital or at home on a generator for a few days. Yeah, right? More down to earth ideas and scenarios. You acknowledge what you did wrong. This is a fire video and what you did, and that's perfect. Pressure test your preps in other ways, like shutting off your main power and see how long you can perpetuate normalcy. That's cool. That's a good idea. Do power drills with your family, right? To test how good, what your planning looks like. The payoff. This guy talks about the payoff. He says my planning worked out because it worked, kind of. Not a bad place to be. I've always defaulted to the zombie apocalypse scenario because it's not because I think zombies are a real possibility, because it represents the worst possible thing. Yeah, and he talks about, Earth, asteroids hitting the Earth. Nope, why bother? Like some of the more serious SHTF scenarios, we'll probably all die. Like, we're all gonna die anyway. Like, prepping is cool. I want to perpetuate normalcy and survive if possible, but everybody dies. It's gonna happen. I suggest getting spiritually squared away before that happens. Staying alive forever isn't that attractive to me, honestly. This is kind of fun. I enjoy doing it. But ultimately, everybody's going to die. Like prepping, what is the goal of prepping? To stay alive as long as possible everywhere. I don't know. On a scale of God's perspective of, like on our scale, death is way over here. It's the worst possible thing. But on God's perspective, like death is the beginning of eternity. I don't know. I think I'm going to fly into the sky and be with Jesus if I die. So death isn't, it's not that bad. A lot of comments on the decentralization, which I appreciated. I want to do more content on that. Fantasy must end in the prepper community. It will lead people into actually being unprepared, especially for the majority of us in the middle of the bell curve, the 68%ers. I am quickly bored by much of the equipment dumps and reviews that are monotherapy. Proper prepping must include having a proper system in place like you described. Yes, right. I think the fantasy and the prepping world is harmful. I think it leaves people less prepared. I agree with this guy. Glenn Koenig, yeah. Yes, sir, I agree. My new favorite prepper channel. Thanks for that. Yeah, cool. That's awesome. How do people not know that wind can carry an ember a mile and start another fire? You gotta be kidding me, 4 exclamation points. I grew up in LA and we had fires, but they were never in the city. They were always in the mountains. And I spent most of my adult life on military bases. So I was never directly affected by wildfires. So I really didn't know. Yeah, I just didn't know. Sorry I was ignorant about that. My very original video, you don't need these. This guy says, this is probably the worst advice I've ever seen as a general idea. And he gives a different perspective. Again, first video, a little bit of grace. I was being snarky, trying to drum up. This guy says, having nods and thermal is so old school. Hardcore airsoft 5 years ago. He says, nowadays you really have to have a thermal cam drone with payloads and a signal jammer. Being sarcastic, that's kind of the point, right? That whatever you have today, it's like, oh, this is the best kit and the gear that I maxed my credit card out for. Yeah, 5 years from now, that's not gonna be cool anymore. This guy says about the fire video, if I leave and may not be coming back, the realization in my video about that, yeah, that was a wake-up call. It's like, crap, if I have to leave, I may not be able to come. That's what triggers a bug out, right? It kind of sets you like, oh crap, maybe it becomes real. This guy talks about storage units, cost of storage units. I heard stories that the town that this fire happened, that people were climbing the fence to get to their storage unit. Like, I've thought about staging gear in a storage unit, but that story gave me pause. It's from a woman that I work with, and I was like, really? So what happened? Was it a coded gate? I didn't follow up, but is it a coded gate and the power was out, so you couldn't get in the gates? You had to jump the fence? I don't know. That makes me nervous, though. The thinking you have all your stuff in there and then you can't get to it when you need it, that would scare me. This guy says about staging equipment in other places. He says in a desperate situation, they will use my stuff. Okay. Also, he says that scattered preps must be checked up on. That's true, right? Equipment, gear, food expires. It's a complicated system to have things staged in other places, and you have to maintain it. So this is a legit objection to my decentralization idea. Yeah, if someone's desperate, will they use it? Maybe you got to get to it before it reaches that point. I don't know. This woman says, I assume it's a woman, says, bringing the wife into the discussion is key. They think of things in a totally different way. It needs to be a team effort. Yeah, mine was too late, so learn from my mistakes. This guy says, 100%. When I heard they shut down Wuhan, this is COVID, I went to Lowe's that night, and the masks were all gone. Yeah. Went on Amazon and bought some, thinking ahead of the mob, right? Going on Amazon. A friend of mine just texted me today. He watched my video on Staples toilet paper. He goes, they don't have paper. And he sent me a picture of the toilet paper aisle at Staples. And he goes, I didn't believe you. So what do you think? I'm making this stuff up? Yeah. You got to think 2 steps ahead of the mob, right? And then I texted him. I was like, you better buy some while you're there, like just in case, Fire... Memory stick, extensive. I have a memory stick with detailed info on every weapon, including all the photos, a copy hidden somewhere else. I have trusted copies with other people, your documents, documenting for insurance purposes, all of your gear and stuff. Yeah, that's important, right? I'll share that LDS manual because that's kind of where I got that idea. When I broke into the car really quickly, it was probably 20 seconds. Someone says it's actually scary how easy it is. It is. It is scary how easy. You feel less safe the more you learn about lockpicking. Let's see. Dealing with disasters. Talks about winter. Yet a lot of comments about seasonality, and seasonality would obviously change bags, gear, equipment, what's in your car. I think probably twice a year at least. Everybody needs to go through their stuff and update their bags. Like, people have looked at my go bags or my get home bags, and they're like, oh, what about if it's cold? And well, in the fall, I will be dressed differently, first of all. So I will have warming layers on, and I will likely have like a lightweight puffy coat in that bag as well, which there's room for. So this guy asks if my wife is equipped to handle all this if I'm gone, if I'm not able to get to them. She is. She's a gangster. This guy talks about things starting as turd on the carpet and then evolving to SHTF. Yeah, I think that's probably what's gonna happen, right? This guy says I'm being too positive. That's possible. That's possible. Maybe you should get a globe and do some math geologically and start adding up everything that has been happening and the time progression that continues to increase faster and faster and shorter time spans. You may not be affected today or tomorrow, but what about after? More important than the family. So again, kind of that perspective that things are progressing, and true SHTF is going to happen anytime. Maybe. I'm prepared for that too. I don't want people to think I'm like, don't do that, just do this. It's both, but I don't know. I think it's the 80-20 rule, personally. This guy says, my biggest threat is a paper mill in my town. Volatile gases used in the paper making process. So he has a gas mask, and that's what I'm talking about. Like, assessing your specific scenario and being smart about that, right? This guy needs a gas mask. I don't think I need a gas mask right away. So this guy's thinking. He's thinking about his area and what he should do, right? It's funny, a lot of people start to open up in the comments. This guy says, I don't have a ton of places to talk about this stuff. I run our family farm. My mom is a prepper and is involved in our community preparedness network. So this sounds like a younger guy that maybe helps out on his farm, talks about some lessons learned. He talks a lot about community happening when there was a disaster. Yeah, that's one. I'm going to talk about this in the Bugout video, but that's one myth that I'm glad has gone away, the lone wolf. Yeah, the lone wolf concept is stupid. It's been proven wrong. Community's where it's at. I don't have enough friends. I need more friends. I'm working on it. There needs to be more content about that. I think at least we've made the transition from lone wolf to, hey, community is important, but like, how do we do it? There needs to be more discussion. This guy says, my feelings were hurt that my comment wasn't addressed in the first 38 minutes. He was watching Hurt Feelings Report number 4, but then he came back because I mentioned it at like 55 minutes. So good advice. I held my comments for a few minutes, but I knew it wasn't you. I got shadow banned on channels all the time because of the algorithms. Yeah, I'm not banning you guys. I'm not banning anybody. I'm not deleting comments. I'm not doing that. So if you don't see your stuff, it's not me. Also, you got to think that hotels outside the damage area are going to be booked up. Kind of got lucky that you have rooms. I suggest keeping your RV all stocked. Our RV it's kind of trash. We need to get a different one, or a trailer or something, because it's not going to work very well for us. But bosses letting people evacuate. It's funny. My boss called me about, or he texted me about me mentioning him in the video. He goes, hey. He goes, maybe I didn't fully understand what you were going through. Yeah, that's cool, right? Now he's going to text me again because I just mentioned him again. Please consider contacting your Office of Emergency Management and ask for the threat assessment for your county. That was a good point. Risk management is already a thing. Like, preppers, in some cases, we're trying to reinvent the wheel. We're trying to come up with these new, here's a disaster, how do I prepare? I'm not a fan of FEMA. But risk management is a field of study that already exists, and a lot of this work has already been done. And I know it's not as sexy as like plate carriers and ARs and that, but there's some really good information out there about how to prepare for the disasters that are in your area. And some of it's good, not all of it, you know. This is a great comment. My comment about leaving the cities, right? I was like, the whole city won't burn down all at once. I live 2 miles from where George Floyd was murdered, and about 1 mile from where all of the rioting and burning was going on. You could not even tell it was happening unless you turned on the news. That is my point. That's my point. When these things happen, now I'm not talking about 6 months after SHTF and the whole cities have fallen into chaos. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about turn on the carpet, right? This guy lived 2 miles from where George Floyd, all that stuff went on. And it was normal. He says it was normal, right? He was going to work. He was probably going to the grocery store. It's localized, right? That's turd on the carpet. That is turd on the carpet. So I don't need to build a fire or my compass to navigate when I'm getting out of the area. I just need to go home early, right? Is this it? This is it. I found it. I found it. Oh my gosh. Okay. I found it. You talk to I'm so happy I found this. This guy posted this comment. The day I read this, the morning I read this, I had a presentation to give. So this guy was living rent-free in my head. And I was like, it takes me like a day to come up with a real good zinger. I didn't really have any, but hear me out. 3 days ago, I knew it. You talk too effing much. You like to hear yourself talk, don't you? Be honest. What a shame. So much potential. No time for your rambling lectures. He's probably not watching this then. I'm already aware. I've admitted that. I have no shame. I talk for a living. I process out loud. This channel is a fulfillment of my potential, not a waste of it, sir. Also, this is going in my hurt feelings report. Thanks for the comment. He goes, the best of luck to you if you decide to continue down this path. Sincerely. You talk more than preachers and pastors. You talk more than parents who lecture their children. You talk more than judges and attorneys, and that's saying something. You talk more than woke Karens lecturing us on social issues while virtue signaling. You have great ideas and offer good advice, but just get to the effing point. Quit with the long-winded intro and back patting sessions to try and make new acronyms while claiming you have a meat 68% following. We have things to do. Anyway, God bless you. So he's like, shut up, you piece of shite, but God bless you. And he goes, thanks for the reply. I'll continue to subscribe and comment. And I rang the bell. Don't yap your way out of followers and subscribers. I'm a Christian. It makes sense. I'm a Christian. I'm a father of 8. And I stand up in front of people and talk for a living. So his points about the way that I talk, it makes sense. Yeah, okay. So far, it hasn't hurt my channel. I'm not tooting my own horn, but quite the opposite, actually. I'm approaching 7,000 subscribers in 30 days. I'm doing something that's effective. Again, thanks for the algorithm stroke. I hope you find the right channel for you. So then this is a day later when I really started thinking about how to get snarky. So I went to his channel because he's got a YouTube channel. And I said, I checked out your channel, all of your videos. He has hundreds of videos that are from other people. He just reposts them. He's informing people, he's teaching. It's great. A lot of great content on there from other people. Are all of your videos from other people, or do you have any original content with you on camera? Because I wanted to critique him. I was going to be like, I am wanting to learn as much from others as I can. I was just being snarky. And I was going to come back and re-comment on this and tell him I talk too much. You type too much, sir. Anyway, this had me devastated that day, and then I've been laughing about it ever since. So, and I get a lot of people telling me, hey, stop giving credit to the haters. I don't know. I feel this is fun for me. I enjoy it. I have no shame. My feelings aren't really hurt. And also, I feel like I'm using negative energy as fodder for more views. He's still subscribed though. Who knows? I don't know, dude. I don't want to give your name because I don't want to call you out, but thank you for the comment. And I am working on being more concise. Like your feedback is, I'm trying to take what's true about it and put it to good use. I found it. I can't believe it. This guy talks about putting everything down on paper, phone numbers, maps, all that. Yeah. My favorite commentary on this is your boss will still make you go to work during SHTF. Yeah, somebody said that. Oh, this is, you should put some time into a get to work bag. If a comet hits the planet and causes a mass extinction, they're still going to want you to go to work. Yes. Yes, they are. That's a really, hey man, you coming in still? Yeah. That's a really good point. Pace plan. This guy talks about pace planning, primary, alternate, contingency, and emergency. Yeah, having 4 things, right? That's a really good idea. I try not to use too many military acronyms because they've just been played out so much. Why not make an entire scale? This guy says it would be simple. PLO, prep level 5, like SHTF, and then prep level 4, prep level 3. Yeah, some sort of system for that. That probably already exists in risk management. This guy says he can't post in the comments he has an appointment at the bank to refinance his house to buy a set of nods. Yeah, me too, brother. A prepper with no dog. So I had a few people talk to me about dogs. Yes, I heard a statistic that if you have a dog, you're 80% less likely to be broken into your house. I have a couple family members who are allergic. And to be honest, I used to have dogs and I could never make it past cleaning up the poop in the yard and the hair in my food. Now, currently we have cats, and so far that's not a problem because they use a litter box and they don't shed that much, but I love dogs. With all the chaos in my house, a dog would just add so much more chaos. Maybe I need a dog. I don't know. You guys are getting me with that. I agree. Dogs are great. I love dogs. I just don't have one, and I haven't had one for years. I had 2 dogs, then we had kids, and they started getting aggressive towards the kids, so we got rid of the dogs. That was an easy choice, by the way. Not easy, but it was the right choice. It was simple. Well, it seems like I go a while without ever clicking on a thing. First time subscriber, live on the East Coast. Never seen a forest fire till he went to Montana. Kind of a wake-up call. Yeah. This guy says about my shill video, you're going to let other people dictate what your time is worth and restrict you from taking sponsors? We're temporary, time is limited, you have value. That's a t-shirt. Thank you, man. Thank you, Evil Elvis. Yeah, thank you. But yes, I mean, YouTube is largely about your audience, right? And having a job is largely about letting someone else tell you what your time is worth. And I know that's gross. I don't like it. To me, shifting to this platform would be moving away from having a 9-to-5 job, even though my job situation is really great. I love my boss. I love my coworkers. I love everything about it. But I get it. I appreciate you looking out. Someone said dental floss for repairs. Okay. I like that. Plus, my teeth are all crooked, so I need dental floss all the time anyway. Like what you're doing, you're building and have improved with each video, except one. This is my opinion. I wish you'd tell me which one so I can stop the hurt feelings report. I feel like you're feeding them and they do not matter anyway. No one's perfect. You've grown, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. But like I said, these are good for me. I enjoy doing them. And I feel like they give my audience insight into the way that I think, into behind the scenes for the videos. So I probably will continue to do them. I appreciate your advice, though. I will continue to do them. But I also appreciate your advice. My EDC bag, my fake bag video, a lot of people got a kick out of that. In hindsight, I should have added more stuff like fire kits and compasses and rope, like 50 feet of rope. That could be a whole series of just joke bags. Be like, oh, this is my EDC for work. And it's like a roll of duct tape, and axes and welding helmets. And yeah. But when I first posted that, I was going to say most preppers are like this. But I was like, that sounds kind of like this. So I made it more about me, which is true. It's like, that's really what my first bag looked like. This guy says rolling luggage. Earl Grayman 982. This is also the insightful comment that I was going to give the bag away for. And I said, Earl, email me. And he said, okay, I will. And I haven't heard from him. Maybe he doesn't have my email. Can you just find someone's email on there? Maybe I need to give him my email. I don't know. But he had a comment about rolling luggage. Yes. I don't know why more people don't do that. It's totally gray, man. It makes you look like, it may make you a target for criminals, but in those initial hours, it's so much easier to carry stuff in a roll around bag. And they're everywhere at thrift stores and they're cheap. You can get giant luggage bags for $15, $10 and they're high capacity. You don't have to wear it on your back. You can roll it down the street. They are noisy. Some are quieter than others, so find a quiet one, but that's a great option. That's a great option that I didn't really talk about, but I'm thinking more and more that that might be the way to go. Nobody's going to look at you pulling a piece of luggage and say, is there an AR in there? They're just not going to, unless you're all tactical up here. But yeah, so that was a great thing. This guy says, put a cover on my deadman axe. Yeah, my double bit axe. More people have been killed by double bit axes. Well, it was a joke video. You know what's funny is that joke video, I got a couple comments where people thought it was serious. That should tell you more about the state of prepping right now than anything else, where some people were like, might be a little too much. Like they thought I was serious. They thought, hey, I'm not trying to be a jerk, but maybe you think about this. Maybe you think about putting a compass in there. That should tell us a lot. Like 3 rifles and a double bit axe to start with, and 500 rounds of ammo. Because there's videos out there like that, right? There was I'm not going to call out names. There was a truck kit video that I just watched a couple days ago, and the guy had 10,000 rounds. He says 10,000 rounds in my truck at all times. And he had a bag of heirloom seeds. Not hating on the guy. He's getting a lot of views, doing something good. Great. I'm happy for him. But what? What are you talking? What? Like, it's SHGF. I got to get home. Honey, on my way home, I'm going to learn how to garden. I'll be right there. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Yeah. That blew my mind. And I go to the comments expecting snarkiness, nothing but support. So part of me is like, I'm not going to go there and make snarky comments either. But 10,000 rounds and heirloom seeds in your truck, like you're. This guy says, let's see if you can get to 10,000 subscribers. Yeah, I'm down for that. Thank you. The bag, a lot of people were putting in for the bag. I'm trying to get it to that gray man guy. Maybe I'll just find a way to contact him. Maybe he has a YouTube page. But if he doesn't respond, I'll have to give it to somebody else. I still have it. Now I'm at 6,000, so I'm gonna crap. I haven't even shipped this by the time I reach 10,000 subscribers. So I know it's a gross thing to whine about. I'm sorry. It's a first world problem, right? Oh, I got too many followers. On my sling, got a lot of feedback about my sling. Let's talk about my sling. Okay, so my tourniquet. People recognized that it was a cheap tourniquet, even though I was like, hey, don't cheap out. It was one that I had for a while. I looked at it, and it is indeed a cheapie. So I'll probably end up swapping that out, and maybe swap out the gauze for an Israeli bandage so that's a good idea. I will be doing that. I also ordered a light for my pistol. So a lot of talk about the light, the handheld light versus a pistol light. And I see the argument for both. I was like, I don't want to use that to aim. So a lot of people are like, well, put a light on your gun and still use the handheld. You know, something else I thought about, this whole light discussion about self-defense or home defense. The reason cops have lights on their guns, or people have lights on their guns, is because they don't control the lights in an area that they might be in. But in your house, you do. Why can't I just also flip on the lights? Someone was like, well, you want the element of surprise. Do I? I want them to hear me as soon as possible. This is just my thinking. I'm not an expert in home defense, okay? So don't, this is not gospel. This is just Mike Tango Whiskey thinking out loud. I think I want them to hear me as soon as possible. I want them to hear me go bump. I want them to see lights go on. So they'll get the heck out of there. But maybe that's wrong. Maybe that would, I don't know. This one got into some sticky areas. So there was the light, the pistol light that had a lot of people really nervous. The other thing that had a lot of people nervous, several people were like, dude, you're flagging yourself with your gun. Okay. Now, what they saw was striker fired pistol with the thing pulled back, right? Now, what they couldn't see is that that pistol was in condition 3. Okay. Condition 4 is, magazine removed, on safe, it's clear and safe. You can see the chamber, right? What I tend to do if a pistol is going to be on camera, I will remove the round from the chamber, right? So this weapon is now condition 3, but the hammer's back. So someone may look at that and go, that's not right. That's not technically condition 3. Okay. And then while it was in the holster, it was pointed in my direction in condition 3. Okay. Is that technically a violation of rule number 2? Always point your weapon in a safe direction. Okay. Yeah, probably. And now that mistake is on video forever. This is one of the reasons I will not be doing gun content. I will not. My wife doesn't want me doing that, number 1. And number 2, there's just so much of it out there. And there's a lot of people out there that are better at it than I am, right? I have military experience. You know, I was marksman, and I've been pretty good at weapons my whole life. I'm now a certified gunsmith. But I'm no expert, though. I'm not an expert. So, yeah, I appreciate all the feedback. You guys looking out for me, like, hey, man, I'm not trying to be that guy, but you flagged yourself a couple times. But just so everybody knows, that weapon was in condition 3. But does that negate the rule? No. Right? People were watching. One guy said, look, people are watching these videos. It's getting thousands of views. So, like, I should take that to another level. That gun safety it's nothing to mess around with. It's not joking. It's not, so thank you all for pointing that out. So the light, and then the hollow point. So in that other pistol, I had ball ammo, and over people were like, why do you have ball ammo in your self-defense weapon? Because that's mostly what I have. Now in this one, I don't. This one, there's hollow points, but because that's what I have, mostly. Self-defense ammo is pretty expensive. And I know people are going to comment about that, but I've watched a lot of the videos on this. This kind of spurred me to look into it more, and over-penetration, and I don't know, man, I'm focused more on shot placement. I think all bullets will penetrate further than you want them to. So I don't know. I don't know if I'm completely sold on that, the idea that hollow points will go through your target or into your target, not out of your target, through your target, and not past that. I've seen the drywall test, man. Like, all bullets go all the places you don't want them to. But statistically, like, the likelihood of injuring somebody past that are very, very slim. So I'm more concerned about shot placement and tactile, am I in my right mind in that moment? But I could be wrong. I'm not an expert in home defense. So what else from the sling video? So the hollow points, the light, the flagging myself. I got a lot of questions about the sling itself, and it's not a sling. I made it from a panel that goes on a car visor. One Tigris makes this car visor, like a Molly panel for you to put patches and stuff. I cut that up and modified it. Had my daughter put some rings on it, put a sling on it, and it has 3 spots for pouches. That's all I did. So, and I ordered another light. I did order I think an O-light, and I know people don't like those either, but it was on sale, an O-light, rechargeable one. So I have a better light coming, because I do like the idea of having both, right? Why not have both? It doesn't take away or it only gives me capability. It doesn't take away anything. So, but that sling, I made that up. Maybe I should start like having those made or something. This guy says, this is bad advice. Do not talk to the police. Get a lawyer. Several people said don't talk to the cops. I agree. Truck guns. I would love to compliment further on multiple topics. However, it's too long and lengthy. Sir, that is redundant. Long and lengthy, they mean the same thing. But I get it. I'm working on it, man. Oh, let's see. Trying to scroll up. There's so many. Defensive hollow points in those spare mags. FMJ is not what you want to do. Lots of scolding about my full metal jackets. Yeah, a lot. And it made me, I watched hours of videos on over penetration and the different stuff, and yeah, I'm not sure it's as much of a thing as the community thinks it is, but there's all these comments I never commented. I don't understand how this FMJs for self-defense. Be careful showing a Springfield handgun on the internet is taboo. Yeah, apparently these are not good anymore. I remember some controversy, but several people commented on that, like, don't show your Springfield. I've done so many other things that are worthy of shame. I don't know. Having a Springfield. Don't show your hands so much. But in the videos where I'm shooting down like this with the tabletop, what do you want me to do? Like stick my head in there? I'm talking with my hands. I have to. Because when I showed my bag, they were like, stop showing your bag so much. No, so that's going to continue. Because the tabletop videos, they have to be your hands because that's all they can see. You're talking with your hands, you know. Turd on the carpet. One of the best preps you can have is no debt and a big savings account. Yeah, agreed. Financial preparedness. I'm not qualified to talk about that, but yeah, that's really great advice. Just my 2 cents. Don't overload the sling. Fixed blade knife. I had a couple people say, what you're missing is a fixed blade knife. Because hand-to-hand combat? I don't know. I don't have any knife fighting skills. I think that's a misnomer. I don't think I'm ever going to get into a knife fight as I play with a knife all the time. I'm going to cut cardboard boxes and my apple each day. I think you're onto something. Hear me out. Have both a weapon light and a normal light. And they talked about using both, or even using a weapon light to light the floor and it'll light up the room. Or as I was thinking, turn the light on and then, but yeah, so I'm doing both. That was good advice. A lot of people told me that. People talked about pepper spray in the house as a bad idea because everybody's in the house. It tends to travel. That's a good point too. Some people took issue with the legal defense side, like me rendering aid to an intruder, that would count against me in a court case. And I don't know. I'm thinking about the court case, or I'm trying to, but I'm also thinking about when I stand before God. So it's both. It's both. One guy was like, why would you do that? Don't render aid to that guy. He's a scumbag and deserved death. And yeah, but if I've neutralized the threat and I can save him, I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Can I ask why you keep FMJ in your gun? I worry about overpenetration. So I load hollow points to mitigate this issue a little, but I'm open to other options if there's an argument for it. It's what I have. And I got that question like 6 times. It's like, it's what I have. The biggest thing is to stay inside your house. Don't go outside to investigate anything. You could be out. Yes. Don't open your door. Don't go out to check. Even thieves. A lot of states aren't okay with you using deadly force if somebody's stealing something. Like, you have to believe you are in danger, or your life is in danger, or the life of others are in danger. Some states say like serious bodily injury. If I remember correctly, Montana had that one, but look, this is a critique. I don't ever see you pulling the trigger if a bad guy enters your home. And I said, how dare you, sir? Is this the same guy? How dare you, sir? I'm trying to think of something to type that will convince you that I will rise to the occasion and execute justice, but I can't think of anything. I see you picking non-lethal before lethal inside your own home. Typically that mindset doesn't work out for the homeowner. I think you're a good, kind man that has love for other human beings, and that's not a bad thing. So he wasn't knocking me necessarily, but I don't want to. Like, if I can not kill somebody, I won't. If it comes down to them or my family, obviously, but it's not something I'm like waiting to do. Yeah, that one cut kind of deep. Dude, your striker firing pin is cocked. The pin out of the back of the slide is ready to go. This whole video makes me nervous. I'm 6 minutes in and I can't watch anymore. Yeah, okay. Preppers should focus on the most likely events: long power outages, hurricanes, not zombie apocalypse, communist jumping out of sky fantasy scenarios. Yes, sir. Yeah, agreed. Mark Zuckerberg. Am I imagining things, or are those mags loaded with ball ammo? But if I'm right, WTF? Do you live in some BS state where hollow points are illegal? Again, same argument. Oh, you just pulled out an XD9. I'm out. Thank you, sir. I was told by my attorney to not render aid to somebody I'm forced to shoot. The reason is if you're in such fear and you're forced to shoot them, how can you approach them and put yourself in that vulnerable position by rendering aid? Not to mention if you do something incorrect. Yeah, I'm not a lawyer. That wasn't legal advice. Yeah. This might be the best one. I might end on this. I have 4 minutes. 2020, he's talking about a point in the cheap gear video where I said I'm not leading a team of anybody anywhere. He says, I'm from the future. You lead a victorious assault on a food storage facility in the woods in 2029, saving our tribe from starvation when things were really bad. It was all because you had that bang. This guy, oh, that's Mark Zuckerberg again. Oh, this guy had me rolling, man. I said, you win the comments. Yeah, he's from the future, and I do lead a victorious assault on somebody, something, somewhere. I knew it. And I want to believe that too. I'm like, yes, I do believe you're from the future. This guy's talking about my sling. I have had a similar setup for about 10 years, about the same duration as this video. That video was 17 minutes long. What do you guys like all work in the, I don't know, fast food industry? 15 minutes is short for a YouTube video. These are long. Anyway, this guy said my stippling was good. This stippling is good. Like this stippling here, just on the back, on the front. I like that on the XDs, but yeah. That other one, I got out of hand. I just lost control. I stippled everything, everywhere. I couldn't stop. It was my first stipple job. Stippling. Congrats on 5,000. I have a couple of XDs and didn't notice that your loaded chamber indicator was not activated. However, the pen is, and you never showed that the gun is clear and safe. So this is a good point. On other videos, I see people clearing their weapons, right? I see people doing clear and safe. The weapon is clear and safe before they start handling it. Maybe that's a YouTube rule. I don't know. But I will not, I said it was not chambered. Good looking out though, thank you. I will not be doing firearm content. So yeah, you may see them adjacent to other stuff, but it's not gonna be the primary thing. This guy says, no hate here, just a correction. When I fled for the fire, that was not a bug out. It was a disaster. Not a bug out bag, but a disaster bag. I would push back on that. So when you have to get all your stuff and leave, that's a bug out, right? It's just it's not the one we've been taught about. It's not the one we were told about. So again, I think more clarification on that term and how we use it, that's my next video for sure. Dude, I know it's a very difficult situation, but taking out all your guns and tools is not being prepared. Where were your bug out bags? I think you did excellent, but taking all those tools was not necessary. Talks about a situation, blah, blah, blah. Also, I think that your wife thinking that in pillows and shampoos and pajamas, completely unnecessary if you're in a hotel. Needed to go out in minutes and it's obvious. Oh, well, I agree. I think you're supporting me over my wife. But if we're in a hotel for 3 days, like, yeah, those things are important too. And if I have time to get them, I should. This entire video could be resolved by actually buying a decent weapon light instead of putting airsoft trash on your firearm. Okay, it's ordered. It has been ordered. Thank you. Cool and nice setup. My critique is FMJ in your magazines. Terrible choice for self-defense over penetration. Again, go watch the stuff out there, man. I don't know if that's a closed case. I really don't. This guy talks, he spends a lot of time outdoors. He loves the concept of turd on the carpet. So that was pretty cool. Great discussion. Sure, you are a little verbose, but you talk through things in an open and conversational way. He's normally a give me my answer so I can go about my day. So I'm working on it, bro. Thank you. Do you have a dog? Get a cane corso. Yeah, I want a dog. Velcro makes too much noise. Some people said that, like on my sling, like, do I care if the Velcro makes noise? Because I want the element of surprise. I want to ninja up on the intruder, and I don't know. I don't know what I think about that. I don't think I'd want to. Yeah, I guess you would. If they have a weapon, you'd want to surprise them, right? I don't know. You're on track. The big problem I see is no blade. Like downward draw, CQB can be hand to hand. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I believe that. This guy needs a purse to defend his house. It's European, okay? hopefully someone will get that reference. But don't say shite to cops, ask for a lawyer, invoke your right to remain silent. Yeah. After a self-defense shooting, I mean, anytime you're really interacting with law enforcement, you should probably you shouldn't say anything. I do know that. Some of these comments are brand new for tonight. I started moving out of the SHTF mindset and am moving more into LARPing. Yeah, I think most people are. You're doing great. Keep it up. YouTube likes to auto censor stuff. Yep. Nice kit. Have you thought about a patch kit, pump, spare tube, stuff for your bike? Yeah, that's all on my bike. I think I showed that in another video. But anyway, my alarm just went off. I'm a little bit over. How long over? Oh, a little bit over. So, I'm going to end it here. Thanks for attending, watching this Hurt Feelings report. I will continue to do these. I think they're good. I think they're fun. Well, they're fun for me. I know that. I hope they're effective for you guys to kind of get some insight into my mind and behind the videos and that. I'll go down my list here. Some videos I'm thinking about putting out. I have Get Home Bag Philosophy. I think I've already covered that pretty well. Prepping, kind of the stages that preppers go through when they first start prepping. Bugging out, attacking that one, that's next. Staging gear, like we talked about, that's after that. And then number 3, I have coming up with the 7 C's for urban survival. I want to attack that too. Transporting gear, transferring your knowledge to kids, staying ahead of the mob. Am I giving ideas to other YouTubers? Maybe I shouldn't do this. But if I see them do a video on it, then I'll know they'll stole it, right? I'll still say it. The survival retreat, I have an idea for that because all of us want it, but none of us can afford it. Axes, I need to do more stuff on axes. Risk management, maybe steal some of the ideas from risk management. There's really good stuff out there. Radios, I'm a ham radio operator and GMRS licensed. I do classes on radios, so I have a lot of radio content coming. Organizing your gear for the family. Once I do that properly, then I can put it on video. I have a couple interviews coming up. So I want to do more gray man stuff too. Maybe a video on how to make one of those slings because there was a lot of interest in that. Gray man stuff, I have lots of ideas on that. I have 2 interviews coming up with friends of mine. One of them who owns 10 acres about 20 miles outside of town. I don't own 10 acres. So how can I, as a prepper, approach her about maybe using some of her resources in an emergency? Can we trade? Can we having that conversation ahead of time? That's going to be a good one because she has land, she has horses, she has some options there that I don't have, right? What can I do for her in exchange for space and time on her property if I need it? Also, I have a friend who is a genius. He's an AI engineer. And my whole AI rabbit hole, we had a conversation over lunch Friday, and he kind of he always blows my mind, always. He's a brilliant guy. But I'm gonna sit down and talk to him. I'm gonna give him all of my deep, dark, black-pilled, horrific thoughts about AI, and he's gonna sober me up. He knows the real deal. He'll tell me straight up what I should be worried about, what I shouldn't be worried about, and he can articulate probably better than anybody that I know anyway, what to expect, which I think is valuable for us in this prepping space. Because I'm assuming the worst, as usual, right? And I told him, hey, I hate AI. I hate AI. I will never use it to develop any curriculum, any sort of my training classes, nothing. And he goes, you're wrong. You are leaving a very powerful tool on the table. He used that analogy and it made sense to me. Like if I as a prepper could get a tool or a piece of equipment that would 10-fold or 50-fold increase my capability, why would I not do that, right? Anyway, that conversation is going to be cool. So that interview's coming, and then the interview with my friend about her land and sharing resources in a pinch. They're in Turn on the Carpet. So again, I was about to say I love you guys. That's not true. I do, yeah, I guess so. One guy said, hey man, I love you again. I love you too, man. I have a general kind of public stranger love for you, okay? I wish you well. I appreciate you all. Channel still doing booming business. here's something interesting. This might be delusions of grandeur, but I've been seeing other prepping videos where they're starting to take a similar tone, where they're going, like channels that have been doom and gloom and end of the world apocalypse, and all of a sudden they're like, you know, not everything needs to be tactical. And I'm like, oh, are you biting what that's probably delusions of grandeur. Maybe it's coincidence, I don't know. Maybe that's the whole shift of prepping. Maybe that's where we're going, which would be a good thing. So I'm happy to be a part of it, and I'm excited about the work that we're gonna be doing together. And I'm rambling again. I am being verbose. So that's all I have to say for tonight. I appreciate you all. Look for more content to come out. And all right, Mike Tango Whiskey, all clear.